Okay, so starting off today's show, I wanted to talk about one of the biggest games on Sunday that's going to be going down. It's in the AFC between two of the three teams in the NFL that are undefeated, and that is between the 5-0 Pittsburgh Steelers and the 5-0 Tennessee Titans. This weekend, they're going to be playing each other. Both of them are 5-0. And both teams, the first thing that stands out to me when I look at this game is that both teams have huge injuries going into this game. The Titans lose their starting offensive lineman, left tackle, Taylor Lewan. If you follow the Titans, he's been one of the more consistent and better offensive linemen in the league over the last couple of years. So I think losing him could possibly be a big loss. And the Steelers lose their inside linebacker, Devin Bush, one of the big names on their defense, signal caller on defense. And I do think, unfortunately, if you are a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, that is just a huge, huge loss, seeing him go down with a torn ACL. But Pittsburgh has been really good against the run, only giving up 66 yards per carries. And you guys know, if you've been watching the Tennessee Titans over the last couple weeks, that is their bread and butter. They love running the ball with Derrick Henry. So the first thing that I'm really looking at in this game is who wins that battle and how can the Titans run the ball without Taylor Lewan. In my opinion, that could really determine how exactly this game goes. And there some devastating blows for both sides here. As Taylor Lewan, he's the tone setter up front and has been one of the best offensive linemen in the league over the last couple of years. Devin Bush in the middle, heart and soul of that Steeler defense. But when you look at the Tennessee Titans and what they've been able to do over the last couple weeks, Derrick Henry just went absolutely nuts on the Houston Texans. He averaged 9.6 yards per carry. 9.6. That's just an absolute joke. And I understand having a 94-yard touchdown will help you, but still, 9.6 yards per carry is just absolutely ridiculous. And he puts himself in company with Jim Brown, Barry Sanders, and LaDainian Tomlinson for being the only players in the history of the NFL to have 200 yards, 2 touchdowns in a game 3 times. That is elite company to be in if you're Derrick Henry, especially when you consider the fact that this is the receiving era. In today's NFL, not a lot of teams are really known for being able to run the ball, which really wasn't the case when a bunch of those guys played, Brown, Sanders, and Tomlinson. So Derrick Henry is just out here putting himself in elite category. He is just so fun to watch. And he leads the league in rushing through 5 games. This guy has 588 yards. And the thing that stands out to me about the Tennessee Titans is this is just an old school team who gets off the bus angry. And they just line up and maul you to death. And with the solid weapons they have, right, Ryan Tannehill, I think, has been really good. I've complimented Mike Vrabel a lot over the last couple weeks as he's put his Tennessee Titans in a really good spot to win. And it really started last year towards the back end of the season when they went on that magical playoff run. And I just remember saying to myself, all right, like Ryan Tannehill, it's a great story, but he isn't really the reason why they're winning games. If you remember, in that playoff game against the New England Patriots, yeah, the Tennessee Titans won, but I didn't really think that quarterback play was the real reason why they won, because Derrick Henry was just running the ball down their throats, and I remember the Titans defense just having an absolutely massive goal line stand late in that game, and I just remember saying to myself, wow, their defense deserves a lot of credit. Mike Vrabel, you could really see that his personality is rubbing off on his Tennessee Titans, and I think they're a team that so far this season has played really well and is going in the right direction. But the thing I really like about how the Tennessee Titans are playing right now is that I told you, they're just a team that lines up and could maul you to death. And once they really start running the ball effectively with Derrick Henry, what they're able to do is with their solid weapons like A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Adam Humphries, Jonnu Smith, what they've been able to do here is make Ryan Tannehill beat you with the play-action pass. And I do think if you're the Tennessee Titans, that ultimately is your number one formula to win as many games as possible. And I think that's the real key here. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game, I don't know how you're going to be able to stack 8 guys in the box, because the Tennessee Titans this year do have a legitimate passing game with Ryan Tannehill running the show. Henry is the engine that could, but without him, none of this works. And I understand that because of Ryan Tannehill and his ability to beat you in play action, the Tennessee Titans could be a real problem to many teams across the league. But my only question is, do they have the same ceiling as Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Baltimore? I don't know. I tend to say no, but the Titans, one thing I'll definitely say about them is that they're a tough team, and at 5-0, they're in a division that is not too tough. You would think that they are on their way to having a very nice season. In terms of this game, right, people have asked me, who do I think has the edge? I usually think that great defense tends to beat great offense, even in today's game. And when you look at this Pittsburgh Steelers defense and the way they've been playing, I'm not sure if the Tennessee Titans are going to be able to run the ball on them, and that could screw everything up. My fear for the Titans in this game is that they're going to get into too many second down, third down, and long plays, and no one cares about play action at that point. Then you're the Steelers, you tee off without Lewan. How are the Tennessee Titans going to be able to hold them off? The Titans' offensive line has been really good with Taylor Lewan, but without him, and you're in passing downs, and you have TJ Watt just coming at you, I think there's a slight chance that plan could maybe go out the window a little bit. I love the Tennessee Titans. I think right now you could realistically put both of these teams in the top 3 of the AFC. Obviously, Buffalo does not belong anywhere near that list right now after Tennessee and Kansas City really showed them what class they belong in. Personally, I would throw Pittsburgh in that class. I totally understand that their wins haven't been great, but you could only play the teams that are on your schedule. This is obviously going to be a big chance for Pittsburgh to go on the road this week to Tennessee and see what they could do against the Titans. So it's going to be a really fun game. It's always fun when you have both teams competing at undefeated, and it's crazy that these two teams were supposed to play a couple weeks ago, and still when that game is being rescheduled, both of these teams are currently once again undefeated. So the key for me in this game is the play of the Titans offensive line. That unit has been one of the stronger units for them the whole season long. And without Taylor Lewan, one of their top dogs, I'm going to be curious to see if they're going to have the ability to run the ball. This is literally going to be strength on strength. Derrick Henry running on the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. It's going to be so fun to watch. That's just a heavyweight matchup. I would say the definition of a heavyweight matchup. And once again, Mike Vrabel just deserves so much credit for the way he's developed Ryan Tannehill. Arthur Smith as well, the Titans offensive coordinator. He's obviously going to be in the market for a head coaching job because what he's been able to do with Ryan Tannehill, right? This is a quarterback that, if you remember, he really struggled in Miami. And with Adam Gase, he really was never able to get the job done. Joe Philbin as well. But really, since Ryan Tannehill has gone to Tennessee and he started playing, he has turned his career around. Really, he's been playing some efficient football. And I do believe a lot of that has to do with the fact that Arthur Smith has done a great job working with him. The Pittsburgh Steelers here are off to their best start since 1978 when they won their first 7 games on their way to winning the Super Bowl. And the Titans are 5-0 for only the second time in franchise history and the first since winning their first 10 games to start the 2008 season. When you look at the Steelers in this game, they rank 4th in scoring in 31.2 points per game. And the team has scored 26 or more points in each of its first 5 games of the season for the first time in the franchise history. One thing I really like about Pittsburgh is that James Conner, he ran for 101 yards and a touchdown last week. His 3rd such game this season is that the Steelers are, I think, a different team when he's healthy and contributing. They're 8-0-1 in his career when he has over 100 yards on the ground. And David DeCastro is banged up. Deontay Johnson is banged up. But they are actually expected to play in this game on Sunday against the Tennessee Titans, which I think is a huge edge because when Tennessee's offensive line gets worse, Pittsburgh's gets better by adding an all-pro right guard like David DeCastro. The other thing about Pittsburgh is obviously their defense. It ranks in the top 3 in 24 categories, including sacks, which they rank 1st, tackles for loss, which they rank 1st, and yards allowed, which they rank 2nd. Ben Roethlisberger needs 1 win to become the 5th quarterback in league history with 150 career victories, and he's 5-3 all-time against the Titans. The other thing about Pittsburgh that I've been talking about lately is that I really liked what Deontay Johnson was able to do last season when he came out of Toledo and really was able to excel alongside Juju Smith-Schuster. But the way that Pittsburgh has been able to do this with Chase Claypool, right? Especially when you consider the fact that Deontay Johnson has been hurt, and I understand one way to look at that is like, all right, he's given an opportunity and stuff like that. But at the same time, Deontay Johnson really hasn't been able to do much this season, and Chase Claypool has legitimately become a big-time weapon. You compare him to the performances of some of the other rookie receivers in this draft class, and keep in mind also, to many, this draft class was considered to be one of the best in the history of the NFL, and so far, I don't think it's disappointed. So when you see guys like Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs, who Ruggs has been good. I don't want to put him in that same category. I think C.D. Lamb has as well, but guys like Van Jefferson and Justin Jefferson also, some of the other wide receivers who've been very on and off, I think you could make the argument that Chase Claypool in this loaded receiver class with so many good players has been the best receiver in this draft class. And when you look at this game, I think he could be a big part in the game planning for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You need as many weapons as possible. And the other thing that really stands out to me in this game before we wrap up with this segment is that both of these teams really did have something to prove. Pittsburgh went into the season, I knew their defense was good. I was on their bandwagon. But at the same time, it's just Ben Roethlisberger, even though he was coming back healthy, there were still so many people that really didn't believe in his ability to get the job done for this Pittsburgh Steelers team, whether it was age, whether it was just the fact that it would be a little too much to overthrow Lamar Jackson and everything that the Baltimore Ravens have done over the last couple of years. So Ben Roethlisberger has really been a guy that's been trying to silence the doubters, and same with Ryan Tannehill. This is a guy that had a great season last year. I mean, he led the NFL in passer rating, and to be honest, I just expected regression and didn't expect the Tennessee Titans to be that good this season. He's obviously turned that around and has played really well and has the Tennessee Titans right now at 5-0. So this is going to be one of the premier matchups in the NFL this week. I'm really looking forward to it. Pittsburgh at Tennessee, battle of two undefeateds. Hope everyone enjoys the game.